And I'm unmuting you guys, so mute. Okay, and if you have any questions, just ping it me in the chat or message me. Okay. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so in the last class, like we saw how to create like different types of method and how to pass parameters and return values from the parameters. Okay, and to continue that, like we will start some more concepts with the Java itself. Okay, so let's see. Let me take a. Okay, so let me create a new class. So I'll right click and say new class. Okay, so I'm trying to just create one class, and let's say what I'll keep the name is, let's say uh, class math. Okay, so the name of the class I'm giving it is math class, and I don't want to have a main method in it, so I'm not selecting this main method checkbox and just say finish. Okay, so it will create a math class to me, and now see, as I didn't select the main method, so it did not create that main method for us. Okay, instead it directly created a class for us. And actually before that, like there were a couple of questions I got from the students, like let me say that. Okay, so one of the question was like instead of passing the parameters through a method or function, can I directly use another method and pass values? Actually, yes, we can do, like we can create multiple methods. Okay, but what will happen is, like, see, to do one task, like we can create multiple methods for that. Let's say, see, you are adding two values. So you are giving a equal to 10, b equal to 20, c equal to a plus b, and returning the value. Okay, let's say in case if you want to add two different values, like let's say 20 comma 20. So what we need to do, so same function we need to create one more time and say with a different values, like b equal to 20, c equal to 20, and adding those two values. Okay, but we should not be doing that. See, for to do one task, like we should not be creating multiple methods for that. So what will happen, so for a specific task, if you are trying to create a method, there will be, like, you will have to write lot of methods for that. Okay, instead of copying the code multiple times, that is the reason we are trying to create the methods. Okay, so to avoid, like in case if there are any code that you want to use it multiple times, then we want to create a method. Okay, so to do that itself, like we are creating methods. So now in case if you don't want to create the methods, what will happen is that we cannot achieve the code reusability. Okay, so instead of passing those like instead of hard coding the values in the function itself, what we did was we are passing it as a input parameter. Okay, so the code will be same. What we are doing, whenever we are calling that method, we are giving different values to it. Okay, so with this what will happen, like first time when you're calling, you can give 10 plus 10, like value 1 as 10, value 2 as 20, and it will add both of them and it will give you. Next time if you want to call with a different values, we can just call it, like we can give, see, something like this, 40 comma 50, 30 comma 30. So the code inside it will be the same, but the data that you are passing is different. So that's what is called parameterization, which we'll see what parameterization is. But instead of hard coding, we are giving some values. So this is what the input parameters are. So anyway, like we should not, if possible, we should not be hard coding it. We should be passing them to that method. So, and that's a functionality of the method. So that is what we have to do. So to achieve that code reusability, we will be using methods in this way. Okay, so we should not be hard coding, but we should give the methods. Okay, and So let's come back to our class. So we are creating a math class, and in this class, let's say I'm creating some functions like or some methods here. Let's say I want to return an integer, okay, and the method name is, let's say, addition of open bracket and close bracket. So this is our method, okay, and it says, see, this method must return a result of type int because we kept a int, so that's why it's giving a error to us. So what we need to do is, see, addition and let's say int value 1 comma int value 2. So we are adding two values, and I can say return value 1 plus value 2, okay, and semicolon. So it says some error, okay, it is capital uppercase and here lowercase, so that's why it's what giving an error. So this is one method like addition, okay, and then I'll create one more method, see, addition, then multiplication and int value 1 comma int value 2 and open and close brackets. And here what I want to do is I want to return value 1 into value 2. So this is my multiplication method. And then next int, let's say subtraction. Subtraction int value 1 comma int value 2, like this, okay, and it's returning a value, so I'll say return value 1 minus value 2, like this, okay. So see, in this class, like what we are doing is, all we are doing is we are just creating the methods that we want to, okay. So to call these methods, like we don't even, like we need to create a main method, so only because in the main method itself, like we will be able to call these methods and execute it. But in this class, like I can only write the method definitions, like this I can define all my methods and I can provide what exactly I want to perform, and I can create one more class, and in that class I can have my main method, okay. So see, what I'll do is I'll go to this package in my package explorer, I'll select this, right click, say new class, okay. So in one class I'm creating all my methods. Now in a different class I want to use these methods, okay. So for that, see, I'll create, let's say, math execution, okay. So just like math execution, and I want to create the public static void main method here. So I'm selecting that checkbox, click finish, okay. See, it created a math execution class, and it also created the main method. So in this main method, like I can also create an object of this class math and use it, or using that object I can call these methods from there, okay. So we don't even need to create a class at one in the same file and have the main method in the same file and call the methods. Instead, we can create all our classes in one file and also call them in some other file also, from some other class also, like this, okay. So what I'll do is, see, let's say the name of that, it is class is math empty equal to new math of, like this, okay. So math empty, so I am creating a object of math class like this with, and I'm naming it as empty, so we can give whatever the name that we want to. So now using this empty dot, okay, so empty dot, it's taking some time to load, empty dot, see, now you can see all the methods that you have in that class. See, addition, then multiplication, subtraction. Okay, so what are the methods that you created in that class? You can have it here. See, now if I want to, let's say, execute addition of, so value 1, let's say I'll give 10, and value 2 is, let's say, 20, like this. I can call it in different class. And this addition is returning a value, like it's returning a value that has been added with, like, whatever the values that you're passing, it is adding it, and it is returning it. So we need to catch that value. So I'll say int, let's say, added value equal to this. So whatever the value that is coming out of that method will be stored in this variable called added value. Okay, and now I can display that. See, system dot out dot, and whenever, like, if it is a keyword and it's a method, whenever you type it and put a dot, it will give you all the methods that you can use on that method. See, print line println. Okay, and here I can say in the quotes added value is plus this added value. So we are concatenating and we are displaying it like this. Okay, so we can create a class with all the methods and call that in some other class also, like this. Okay, so what happens is, like, see, this is a package means it's like a folder, and in that folder you have all your files. So whenever you are creating a new file, what it will do is, see, it will import this, see, package com.test.package test. So that means, like, whatever that you have in this package, you can use it, like whatever the classes that are there in that package, you can use it. Okay, so that's why this is what that step is, like package com.test.package test. So whatever the classes that are there in this folder or in this package, you can use it. So you can just create a class of it and you can call those methods. Okay, so int added value, so we are displaying it. See, now if I want to execute it, right click and run as Java application. See, added value is 30. So without writing any code here, like, we are able to call that method. And in the same way, let's say if you want to pass a different value, see, int added value 1 equal to empty dot addition of 20, see, comma 20, like this. And again, system.out.println. See, instead of typing the whole system.out.println, what I can do is I can type syso and press a control space, and you'll get this pop-up. Press enter. So it will give you that line of code, system.out.println. Instead of typing the whole thing, we can also do this. Just type syso and press enter, control space, which will give you a pop-up, and just type enter in there. Okay, and now see here, added value 1 is plus added value 1, like this. Okay, so the method is same, but the parameters that you are passing to that method is different every time. So because of that, like, whatever the value that you are passing, it's passing it to that method, and in the method we are using it. See, now added value 1 is 40, like that. And you can call that method any number of times. So to add different values, we don't need to write the code multiple times. We can just add them and we can use it like this. We can create a method and use it like this. And in the same way, see, let's say empty dot multiplication. Okay, value 1, it's a 10, and value 2, let's say 20. And what it is doing, like, it's returning a value. So I can say int mul value, multiplied value equal to this. And if I want to display that, syso, okay, and I can say multiplied value is plus mul value, like this. And in the same way, we can call the subtraction also. empty dot subtraction value 1, let's say 30, value 2 20, and this. So again it returns a value, so int sub value equal to this, subtracted value equal to this, and to display CISO and control space enter, and I can give here subtracted value is plus sub value. So I'm trying to just display it. See, let me run this. So to run it, either you can do right click, say run as Java application, either we can do this, or see you have a green button here which is run. If you click on this run, it will execute it. See, added value is 30, added value 1 is 40, multiplied value is 200, 10, 20, and subtracted value is 10, which is 30 minus 20, which is 10. Okay, so like this, like we can create the methods and in one class, and we can also use those methods in some other class. And in this class also, like again, you can have your own methods also. Okay, so let's say I'll create one more method here. Let's say method name is division. See, int divi division of open and close brackets. Okay, and it's returning a value. Okay, so just give some parameters, int value 1 comma int value 2. Okay, so yeah, so return statement, see, return value 1 by value 2. We're just trying to return it. So now in case if you want to execute that here, like if you want to see, let me remove this one. Okay, so now let's say if I want to execute or call this method, so what we need to do, like we need to first create the object of that class, which is math execution. So how do we do is, see, math execution me equal to new math execution of, okay, and me dot see division, and value 1 is 30, let's say divided by 2, this. So that will be returning a value. So let's return it into a variable called, let's say, div or div value equal to this. Okay, and int. Okay, so int div value equal to this, and so control space print value, see, let's say divided value is plus this div value, like this. Okay, see, if I run this, it will execute this also. See, added value is 30, multiplied, subtracted, divided value is 15. So like this, like we can have a class with only the methods and no main method, and call those methods in some other class like this, and in that class you can also have its own methods also, something like this. Okay, and also like for these methods you have something called as static. So now what we are doing here, like we are just giving int division. Okay, so in case if you specify this as static, see, static, so in case if I do static, like we don't, if you want to use the class or that method in the same class, then we don't need to create a object of it. Okay, so we can directly call them. Okay, so how we can do that is, see, let's say I'll comment these 2 lines of code. Okay, I'll comment these 2 lines of code, or let's say I'll comment even this line of code. See, // like 2 backsplashes to comment that line of code. So as like in case if you don't give a static to that method, we need to create an object like this, and then only we can call. Okay, so without creating the object we cannot call, in case if you don't have the static. Okay, see if I remove the static from here and save it, see if I say division, dot, see it's giving a error for me. Okay, so division of, if I do this and if I do this, still it gives a error 10 comma 2. So it's giving an error saying that, see if I highlight this, the method division is undefined for the tab, like it says like it's not a let me give the correct name. See, it's a lowercase division. Yeah, see if I say this, it's a static, cannot be, see cannot make a static reference to a non-static method division. Okay, so this void method or the main method is a static method. Okay, and it says that from a static method you cannot call a non-static method. So by default, if you don't provide whether it is a static or non-static, like it doesn't, it treats it as a non-static. So if it is non-static, you cannot call it directly like this. So if it is non-static, you need to create an object, and then with the help of that object only you can call it. Okay, and you can call it something like this. In case if you provide it as a static, see if I say static here, okay, so now see the error is gone. So without even creating the object of that class, you can still call it. That's what the difference of static and non-static is. So if you give a static to that method, so from the main method in the same class, you can call it without creating the object. But if you don't give a static, you need to for sure create an object of that class, and then only you will be able to call that or use it. So now see, if I give static, I don't need to create a object, and directly see I can say int div value equal to this. Okay, and I can display this with the help of system.out.println like this. See, let me run this. See, divided value is 5. So without creating the object, I'm able to use that method. So that can be done only if you provide that as a static method. Okay, and one more thing is, see, let's say you can add a, what type of method is that, whether, and there are three types, like one is, sorry, two types, one is public and the other one is a private method. So if you provide it as a public, like if you make that method as a public, you can call that from any other classes. See, for example, see, I'll give this as public, and by default it is public. Even if you don't provide anything, it's public. See, I'll give it as public, and as I gave it as a public, and I said even if you don't give anything, by default it will take it as a public method. So if it is public, you can call that from any of the other classes. Okay, so here like you can call it, but see if I do a private instead of public, let's say if I give this as private, okay, and save it, see now I will not be able, so if it is private, if that method is private, you can only call from that function or from that class itself. Like you can call this method only from that class. Okay, see now as I called it from some other class, see it's giving me an error. So it will say that, see the method addition from type math is not visible. Okay, so if it is public, then every class can access it, and if it is private, only the class that you are in only can be accessed. So the main method only that is present in that class can access it, so other classes cannot access it. Okay, so based on what our requirement is or how we want to use those methods, like we need to use either a private or public like this. Okay, so if it is public, see now I can use it from the second other class. Okay, so we need to make sure, like whenever we are creating a class, we need to make sure whether it should be a public or a private class, or sorry, public method or a private method like this. Okay, and if it is a static, from that class itself you don't need to create the object of that class, you can directly call it in the main method. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so no questions. So let's go to the next one. So these are about the like classes, methods, and how you can call those methods, okay, and return the values from those methods. So let's try to learn something about loops. Okay, so far what we did, like we just created some code. So see, let me create one more class. Right click, new, let's say class, and I'll give it as loops, and I want the main method. So I'm selecting the public like static void main method, click finish. Okay, see, we got the main method. So I'll take this comment out and start writing some code. So let's say I'll just write some syso control space, and let's say I want to display uh, hello selenium. Okay, so all I'm doing is I just created one method, sorry, a class called loops, and I selected the main method, so it gave me this code for me. And in that code, like I added just to print hello selenium. See, if I click on run button, it gives me hello selenium here. Okay, so we have some code here, so which we displaying that value. So now let's say I want to display this hello selenium, let's say 5 times. So what we can do, what we need to do, I can just copy this line of code and paste it 5 times. Okay, see, if I save it and run it, see, it displays 5 times. Okay, so it displays 5 times. But let's say if it is only one line, if you want to execute 5 times, that's okay, we can do it. But let's say if you want to execute the same line some 100 times or some 1000 times, we cannot copy that line of code like 1000 times. Okay, so even if it is okay, one line you for 1000 times, okay, let's copy it. But let's say you have 100 lines of code and you want to execute that code 100 times or some 1000 times. Okay, so it's like 100 into 100 or 100 into 1000. Okay, so we cannot copy the code like that. So instead what we can do is we can use something called as loops. Okay, so in Java or in programming language, like we have some loops which can be used in our programming, like when we write the code. Okay, so first one is the for loop. See, let me remove this and let me open our notes. Okay, so Java loops, and the first one is the for loop. Okay, so how we write the for loop in Java is, see, press F4 and press control space. See, it will give you different option. Iterate over an array, so just select the first one. Okay, see, it will give you the syntax. So for int I equal to 0, I less than args.length colon I plus plus. Okay, so what it says is I some variable. So you can give I, A, B, C, whatever that you want to, or some loop, or instead I can say, let's say, um, let's say FL or F loop equal to 0. 0 means I want to start from the 0th position, or I want to start that loop from 0, and this F loop is, or let it be I equal to 0. So I want to start the variable I from 0, and I less than, let's say I want to execute 5 times. So as we are starting from 0, then it should be 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So which is 5 values. So I want to run until 4, or I value is less than 4 and I plus plus. So we are incrementing the value of I. So that means for after one execution is done or one loop is done, I want to increment the value of I. After the second increment is done, I want to increment the value of I. So every time we want to increment, so that's why this I plus plus. And inside that you can have whatever the code that you want to. See, I'll cut this code and paste it here. See, like this. So for int I equal to 0 colon I less than 4 semicolon I plus plus, and open and close bracket, and you can, in that open and close bracket, you can write any number of lines of code. Okay, see, now if I run this, save it and run. See, hello Selenium. Okay, so I less than 4 we said, because once it becomes, see, first time I value is 0, then it will enter the loop and it will display the value. Okay, or let's run it in the debug mode and see. Okay, so in Java or in any of the programming language, like, we have something called as debug mode. So when you see, now if you click on run button, it just executes everything from start to the end of the code. But let's say if you want to run like step by step, you need to run that in the debug mode. Okay, so to do that, see, first we need to keep a breakpoint. Breakpoint in the sense, like, breakpoint is like the execution will come and stop there, okay, or pause there. See, let's say I want to run from this line number 7. So what I can do is I can go to this line number 7 and double click on that. See, it entered a dot here. Okay, so that is what the breakpoint is. So now when I execute it, the control will come there and it will pause there. Okay, see, now, so what we need to do is, instead of clicking on the run button, what we need to do is we need to do right click and say debug as Java application. So if you do run as Java application, it will just execute from line number 1 to the end of the line. Okay, so instead, like, what we need to do is we need to do a debug as Java application. Okay, and see, click on this and it will ask you to move the change the like switch to the debug mode. Okay, just say yes. It will just change the look and feel of the Eclipse. See, change the look and feel of the Eclipse, and now the control came and see, it paused here because we have a breakpoint at that location. So that's why the control paused there. And see now, so if you want to, like, now what we can do, in case if you click on this green button, it will resume, like, it will continue the execution. But let's say now we want to run step by step, like, we don't want to execute everything at the same time. Like, I want to execute that step by step, line by line. See, you have something called as step into and step over. So for now, let's use the step into. Step into, what it will do is it will just execute that line of code and go to the next line. See, I'll click on this step into. Either you can click on this step into, or you can also press F5, like function key and F5 key. F5. See, click on this. See, it entered. So now what we said, like, int I equal to 0. See, the I value, you can see it here. I value is 0 now. I and its value is 0. Okay, so that condition is true. So I value is 0, which is, and then it checks for the condition I less than 4. Yes, the 0 is less than 4. The condition is true. So it will enter the loop. See, and it will execute whatever the code that is present in the loop. See, then again I will press step into. So every line, like for every step execution, you need to press F5 or this step into. Then only it will execute. Otherwise, the control will stop, pause there itself. See, click on this. It executed, and now it executes I plus plus, which is, it will increment the value of I by 1. See, now if I click this, see, I value became 1, and the control, so I value is 1 and the condition is still true, I less than 4. So it will enter the loop again. See, control, now I value will become 2. See, with this I plus plus, that's how the I value will increment. Then see, plus, see, and now it is 3. Still the control, like, still the condition is true, so it will enter the loop. like this. And now the I value became 4. Okay, so 4 is not less than 4. Okay, so 4 is equal to 4 but not less than 4. So by this what will happen, the condition will become false. Okay, the condition will become false and the control will come out of that loop. Okay, see, now the control came out of the loop. Okay, and if I do this, see, and just click on run, so the code has been executed. So this is what the debug mode is, and within the debug mode, like, you can see the value of the variables as well as you can execute step by step and see the values of the variables. Okay, and if you see here, see, there are two views here now. One is Java view and one is debug view. Okay, so if you see the debug view, like, it will be, this is what the debug view is. And if you want to go back to our previous view, see, we need to click on this Java, see, and it will go back to this our previous view. Okay, so debug view only, like, if you want to see the values and execute step by step, then we need to execute in the debug mode. Okay, so this is what the debug mode is, and this is how the for loop will run. Okay, so based on the condition, like, we can execute it. And if you want to see insert it also, just double click on this, and on the line you want to insert the debug point or the breakpoint, you need to click on the double click on that row number. And even if you want to remove it, you can go there and just double click on it. See, the breakpoint is removed. Okay, so this is how you can insert the breakpoint and run in the debug mode. And this is for loop. Okay, and based on the condition, you can execute that code any number of times. So you don't need to copy it. Instead, you can write the code like this and you can execute the code multiple times. Okay, then that's a for loop. And in the same way, like, you also have, there are different loops. Like, the next loop that we'll see is the if loop. Okay, so what this if loop will do is, if you want to execute a set of code based on a condition, okay, then we can use this if loop. Okay, in the sense, like, see, let's say in testing what we will do, let's say if you will verify something, let's say you open a browser and you will check whether some object is present or not. Okay, whether the company logo is present or not. And if that logo is present, you want to pass the test case. And if that logo is not present, you want to fail the test case. So that we can achieve with the help of this if loop. Okay, so with the if loop, you can check for some condition, and if that condition is true, then it will execute the code that is present in the if part. And if that condition is not true, you can do something else also. That can be achieved with the help of this if loop. Okay, see, let's write it here. Just press if and press control space. See, it will ask you, do you want if statement? Okay, so just say yes. See, if condition. So what it will do is, it will execute or based on a condition. So if that condition is true, then only it will enter the loop. And if the condition is false, then it will not enter the loop. Okay. So you can check whatever the condition that you want to. Okay, see, if condition, like, for example, let's say condition is before that, like, I'll create one variable. So string, uppercase yes, string, let's say tool name equal to Selenium. Okay, string tool name equal to Selenium. So now I want to check here, if tool name equal to, let's say, Selenium, then only do something. So in Java, like, we cannot directly give equal to. So equal to means you are trying to assign it. Like, you are, it treats that if you do tool name equal to Selenium, it will think that you are assigning this Selenium value to tool name. So if you want to verify, like, if you want to compare, you need to give double equal to, see, if tool name double equal to Selenium. So if that, so now you are comparing it, you are checking whether this tool name is equal to Selenium or not. Okay, so if it is true, what it will do, it will come and execute the code that is present in this if part. Okay, so let's say I want to display sysO tool name is Selenium. Okay, like this. In case if this, so what it will do with this scenario, if that condition becomes true, then only it will enter the loop and it will display value. Okay, see, now let me run this. So now it's a Selenium itself, the value of that variable, so it will enter the loop. See, tool name is Selenium. In case if I check something else, 123 Selenium 123, so now I change the value of that variable. Okay, see, run it. So it's asking you to save, click OK. See, now it only gave this code. Okay, let me comment this line of code. Okay, and run it. See, it didn't display anything because it didn't enter, like this condition is became false. Okay, because you are trying to check is it Selenium, but now it's not Selenium, something else. So the condition became false and it didn't enter the loop. That's why it didn't display this value. And so this is just the if condition. And let's say if that condition becomes false, so what you can also have, let's say if it is true, do this. If it is not true, then do something else. So we can also have that here. So all we need to do is type else, open the bracket, close the bracket, like this. Else, let's say I want to display sysO tool name is not Selenium, but it's C plus tool name, like this. Okay, so if this condition becomes true, then it will execute the code that is present in this if part, and you can write any number of lines of code in that open and close brackets. And in case if that condition becomes false, it will come and execute the code that is present in the else part. And you can write any number of lines of code in that else part also. Okay, see, now let me save this and run it. See, tool name is not Selenium, but it's Selenium 123. So now as the condition became false, it came and executed the code that is present in the else part. And if the condition becomes true, see, save it and run it. See, tool name is Selenium. So when the condition becomes true, it will go into the if part, and if the condition is false, it will go into the else part. Okay, that's what the if loop is. So based on some condition, you can do some validations, like you can execute some set of code based on that condition. Okay, like this if condition or if loop. So let me, and you can have like this else if any number of times. Okay, you can have any number of ifs and else ifs. Okay, so let me comment this. Okay, so I commented that line of codes. Okay, so if you want to comment a line, single line, you can give just 2 double quotes which will comment that line. See, for every line I gave double quotes, like 2 backslashes, so I commented everything. Let's say if you want to comment a block of code, see, I wanted to comment all this block, so you can also do that with the help of this slash star, then at the end star slash. You can also do that. This is also one way to comment a block, and this is to comment a line of code. This is to comment a block of code. Okay, so based on what you want to do, we can use any of these comment code or commented block. Okay, And the next loop is, see, there are like 4-5 loops like this. So the next loop is, see, while loop. Okay, so even the while loop is same as a for loop itself. Okay, so even you can execute some code multiple times based on a condition. So either you can use for loop or you can use while loop. Okay, so the syntax for the while loop is, see, let's say some variable int counter equal to 1. So just some variable, I'm creating a variable called counter while, okay, put a control space, then see while loop with condition, see while condition. So now we want to check the condition. So see, counter less than 5. Okay, so what I'm saying is execute this while loop until the counter value is less than 5. Okay, so until this condition is true, it will go on execute it. See, first we said counter value equal to 1. So then we are saying that, okay, execute this code until the counter value is less than 5. And once the counter value becomes equal to 5 or greater than 5, then it will stop the execution or it will come out of that loop. See, sys then I'll say, let's say counter value is, okay, so in the quotes we need to give counter value is plus counter, which will display the value of that counter. Okay, see, now if I run this, okay, so let me, okay, uh, keep a wait point, thread dot sleep. So we already know that like the thread dot sleep is to, it's kind of a wait. So we are asking script to wait for some time. So and it's in the milliseconds. So I'll give 2000 milliseconds. Okay, so it's giving an error. Okay, it's asking you to do an exception. So just add this adds exception. Okay, we'll see what it did was, like when I say type thread dot sleep, see, and it's giving me an exception saying that unhandled exception type interrupted exception. So we need to know about the exceptions to know this, but just we'll see that in the later classes. But for now what we can do is to remove the error, just right click and say, see, add throws declaration. Okay, click on this, see, which will add this throws interrupted exception. Okay, so it's a Java concept of exceptions, like which we'll see what it is. So now it will wait for 2000 milliseconds. Okay, so see, save it and let's run in the debug mode. See, I'm keeping a breakpoint at line number 23. Right click, debug as Java application. So it's asking you to change into the debug mode, and see, it came here. And now if you see the control came and it paused here. And if you see here, counter value is 1 because we have specified the counter value to be 1. So now the condition is counter value less than 5. So yes, the counter 1 is less than 5. So it entered the loop. See, step into, and now it executed. See, the counter value is 1 and you have thread.sleep 2000 milliseconds. So now again it going to the next one. So now again the counter value is 1, still 1 itself. Okay, and if I say this, see, it will again execute and go. Okay, so now this is a infinite loop because the counter value is not getting increased. So this is the only difference between the for loop and the while loop. So with the for loop, what happens is you are giving the I++ here. Okay, so with this I++, what happens is the counter value will get incremented by whenever it executes I++, the counter value will be incremented, or the I value or whichever the variable that you are using, that value will be incremented by 1. Okay, but here with the while loop we are not specifying anywhere to increment the value of that variable. Okay, so that's the difference between the for loop and the while loop. So for loop, in the loop itself, like you have the value to increment or code to increment the value of that variable, but in the while loop you don't have it, so you have to write your own code for that. Okay, see, let me stop the execution. So if you click on this red button, it will terminate it. See, stop, then go back to the Java view. See, so now what I can do is counter equal to counter plus 1, like this. So now we are incrementing the value of the counter. So first time it's 1, then second time 1 plus 1, which is 2, then 2 plus 1, 3, 4, 5, like that. Okay, so it will increment the value of that counter. See, if I run this now, see, counter value is 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay, so once it becomes 5, 5 is not less than 5, 5 is equal to 5, so the condition becomes false, and see, it comes out of the loop. So that's why it only displayed from 1 to 4, like this. Okay, so that's what the while loop is. So based on our requirement, either we can go with the for loop or we can go with the while loop. Okay, so let's comment this. Okay, so instead of like going to each line and saying like this, what we can do is, see, okay, I can select that line of code or whichever the block of code that I want to comment, and I can press Control and backslash. Okay, so what it will do is Control and backslash will comment all those lines of code. Okay, and if you want to remove it, again you can select that block of code. If you want to remove the comments, select it and again select the Control and backslash, which will remove the comments. See, like this. Okay, so you don't need to go line by line and comment it if it is a block. So Control backslash, like this, backslash. Okay, save it. Okay, so this is what the while loop is. And in the same way, you also have something called as do while loop. Okay, so let's see what the syntax is, and then I'll explain what's the difference between the while loop and the do while loop. See, you have to say, let's say int counter equal to 1. Okay, and then do and control space, see, do while statement. Okay, see, now see, this is the syntax. Int some variable, do, open the flower bracket, close the bracket, while, and then you have the condition. So condition is, see, counter less than 5. Okay, so this is different. See, while loop we are doing this. For do while, do, open the bracket, close the bracket, while, and the condition. Okay, so in this code you can write whatever the code that you want to. See, system, let's do a sysO. Okay, and say, let's say value of counter is plus counter, like this. Value of counter is plus counter. Okay, and the difference between the while loop and the do while loop is, see, even if the like with the while loop, what will happen is it will first check the condition, and if that condition becomes true, then only it will execute the code that is present in the, like, in that loop. Okay, but with the do while loop, it doesn't check the condition first. First it executes once and then goes and checks for the condition. Okay, so by this what will happen, if the condition is false but still it will execute once. Okay, but with the while loop, if that condition becomes false at the first step itself, then it will not even execute at all. Okay, so how it is see, let's say I'm making the value as 5, counter value as 5, and now we are checking counter less than 5. Okay, 5 is not less than 5, 5 is equal to 5. So this condition becomes false, but still it will execute once. See, if I run this, see, value of counter is 5. So it executed once because first is it executes the code and then it goes and checks the condition. So even if it is false, like if it is false, it will come out of that loop. Okay. If it is true, then it will continue the execution. But at least once it will execute that code, whatever that is present in the do while loop. Okay. The same thing if I do with the while loop. See, I'll comment these lines of code and I'll uncomment our while loop. Okay, and I'll say 5, counter value is 5. So now what will happen, see, it will not even display once. See, it didn't display even once because first it checks the condition. If the condition is true, then only it will enter the loop. But with the do while loop, first it executes one set of code and then goes and checks the condition. Okay, so based on our requirement, in case even if the condition is true or false, if you want to at least execute once, then we'll go with the do while loop. Okay, otherwise if you want to first verify and then go and execute the code, then we'll go with the while loop. Okay, so based on our requirement, we can select whichever the loop that we want to. And if you don't want to handle any scenario, like if you don't want to increment the control or increment the value of the variable, then we'll go with the for loop. Okay, so based on our requirement, we can select either a for, while or do while loop. Okay, and the next one is the select case. Sorry, it's a switch case. See, do while, then we have a switch case. Okay, switch case is also similar to a if loop, but when we need to use a switch case is in case if you know that you want to compare with multiple values. Okay, multiple values, then we'll go with the switch case. Like for example, like you know that okay, if the tool name is something and you want to check with different tools, like let's say tool Selenium, tool QTP, tool some other thing. Okay, so then you need to go with the switch case. See, something like this. Let me write that code and explain you. Let's say int month equal to 5. Okay, some value. Then I'll say switch control space. Okay, see, switch case statement. See, something like this: key, case, default, break. Our key is month. Okay, int month. See, let's not give month, maybe it's a keyword, so let's give months or month mon value, mon value, mon value. So if the value is 1, okay, colon, I want to display, let's say SYSO, enter, month is January. Okay, and you have a break. Break means it will come out of that loop. See, we'll see it and do. Then case 2. Okay, then again SYSO, month is Feb, like this, and break. Case 3 colon SYSO, month is MARCH, March, and break, like this. Okay, so like that, like we can have multiple cases. So what it does is it goes and checks if the month value matches with the first one. Okay, if it is matches, then it will go and execute whatever the code that is present in that case. Okay, and once you say break, it will come out of that loop. Okay, if it doesn't match the first one, then it will go and check for the second one. If it doesn't match with the second one, it goes to the third one. In case if it doesn't match with any of the cases, then it will go to the default one. Okay, so here also I can have some code. So unknown month, something like this. Okay, so now if I give, let's say, month as 13. Okay, so it should display unknown month. Okay, so first it will go and check for the first case. Case doesn't match. Second case doesn't match. Third case doesn't match. Then it will go into the default one. So like this you can have any number of cases. See, run it. See, unknown month. And if I give 1 and run it, I'll give Jan. See, month is Jan. Okay, so in case if you, so the same thing we can also achieve with a if loop also. Okay, but what will happen with the if loop is first it will check the first condition. If it doesn't match, it will go into the second condition. If it doesn't match, it will go into the third condition. Okay, and like that, let's say if you have some 100 conditions that you are verifying it, it will go to each and every line and execute it. Okay, so it will execute 100 lines of code. But with the switch case, what will happen is it does not go step by step. Instead, it directly goes to whichever the matching is. See, if I do 3, so it does not go to first case and verify, second case and verify. All the cases will be in its memory and it directly goes into that case. So it does not execute 100 lines. Instead, it only executes 1 line of code. So the performance will be very good with the switch case than compared to the if loop. In case if you have multiple verifications, like if you want to verify multiple values or compare with, then it's better to go with the switch case. If it is only one value, then we can go with the if loop. Okay, otherwise it's better to go with the switch case itself like this. See, let's save it and run it. See, month is March. Okay, so like this, like these are the different loops that we can use in the Java. Okay, and all these loops like we will be using when we are developing the code. Okay, so when we develop the code, like we will be using all these loops itself. Okay, so in the next classes, like in the future classes, when we do like once the Java is completed, we'll go back to the Selenium RC and also we'll start the Selenium WebDriver. So we'll try to use all these loops in the RC as well as in the WebDriver also. Okay, and these are very important. So all we do in the programming is using those loops itself. Like we have to, from the automation point of view, we have to for sure use all these loops. Okay, so try to practice as much as possible and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so any questions now or is it clear?